Perseverance is not a long race. It's many short races, one after the other. Walter Elliot. My friends, the short race for your perseverance when it comes to what we do each and every day, tracking the charts, to make up the long race is that 10 to 15 minutes each and every day. It compounds every day you do it. And it isn't the kind of thing you can do haphazardly. You cannot spend 4 hours on a Saturday. Each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, you will learn the nuances of the market. Don't worry about how long it takes. Once you master the charts, you'll make up for all the time you ever spent. Let's talk about what's going on today. The S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and 20-year bonds are up. Gold and Bitcoin down. Now the S&P not up a lot, 0.56%. And as we look at the numbers that count, what is the high this week? 516. Last week, 517.38. The week before, 518.22. So we can see that we are, in Tuesday right now, going into Wednesday. And of course, we see that the volume, it's looking all right this young in the week. We look at where we are on the 2-day, and that, of course, is average volume. That candle closed today. It is another almost doji spinning top sitting right there on the weekly trend line. And of course, we can see that the weekly candle is sitting right there on the weekly trend line too, as is the 4-hour. We can see some indecision in the morning, more movement up in the afternoon, but overall trading for the day lighter. It was, not even up to average in each of those half-day time periods from 9:30 until 12:45, and then from 12:45 to 4:30. That's your true half day in the market. And did I say 4:30? Sorry, 4. 9:30 to 4. So as we look at what's happening, again, slowdown in the up movement doesn't mean that things aren't recharging. We saw that happen before. Saw the market hammer up at the beginning of the year and then through the end of the year, and then drift in the beginning of the new year that first week and then take off again. It could start just be digesting these gains over these 3 weeks, and then it could pop up again, or it could be dying. We don't know for sure. We do have this higher than average volume, hitting right there around the peak we saw the week before. If things went real negative, we might be able to use that to find a pivot point. We shall see. So the S&P up 0.56%, NASDAQ up even less, 0.25%. Doji for the week. We can see where the volume is now. We had higher than average volume hitting that most recent peak back there on the 4th of March, and then sort of devolving since then. As far as price goes, again, we're keeping a close eye on. You can see these 3 down candles on the 2-day. Really strong Thursday, Friday. And then the Monday, Tuesday, not as big a down candle. But again, we can see where things are really down in the morning on Tuesday and then popped up in the afternoon, giving us that little bit of a gain for the day. But price well below the weekly trend line on the half day, on the 2-day also below, and of course going into the second week below that prior up trend line. We don't have another trend line we can even draw right now. Let's just want to put a flat line in. What does that do for you? Nothing. Okay, let's move from stocks, and again, maybe we'll be able to go short soon on the NASDAQ. Don't know. We'll wait for a trigger event. Now, what do we see happening with 20-year bonds? Well, as we look at 20-year bonds, we see they are up 0.28% for the day. You can see that where bonds really hammered down on Thursday of last week. That was the 14th of March, and then continued to drift down until today. Had some indecision in the morning, popping up just a little bit in the afternoon. Like I said, 0.28%. But as we look at bonds, we can see them again, 3rd down candle, price below the weekly trend line on the weekly, on the 2-day, and well below on the half-day. Let's see where bonds continue to move. And again, can we draw a new trend line? We could try, but see, that's pretty much flat. Does that do anything for us? Not a lot. So again, and we don't have volume helping us out here either. So, well, that's not much of a trend line either, is it? Maybe this is just as well. It just sucks when you just don't have anything to be able to draw. So we'll just continue to watch things meander as they have for many weeks now on bonds, waiting for them to take off one way or the other. We don't have any volume leading us, as you can see. We've talked about that multiple times. What about gold? Gold down a little bit for the day. You can see where gold popped up strong. There's the most recent high back on Friday the 8th. And then it just sort of sputtered around up there, moved down, tried to gain a little bit last Wednesday, the 13th of March, and then just sort of devolved since then. You know, now we've punched through the weekly trend line on the 2-day chart. We have a weak candle drawing here. You can see where the volume is. And gold has sort of lost some of its luster. Now, what could it do? It could simply be digesting this 1 week of big gains back on the week starting the 4th of March, and then it could digest that and boom up again, or it could just sort of cop out, and roll over. And we'll wait, watch, and see. Nothing leading us anywhere on that. We are paying attention to that most recent high that week of the 4th, because if gold does go negative and jams up some volume, we can use that to help us find our turn with that interim high with all that volume. If we have a red down candle with lots of volume form, that can get us into a down move on gold. Lastly, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin has been down. It started going down last Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, down again 3.84% after multiple weeks of Bitcoin just jamming up. Of course, last week hitting that high of $83.36 on HODL. Now we have a spinning top. We have a red down candle on the 2-day punching through that weekly trend line. So again, lots of indecision. If we look at the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart, you can see where we are with volume. We had lots of volume the last 3 weeks. We'll see where this is going. Looks like it's almost halfway up to the average. And of course, you can see where the volume is just below average on the 2 days as things have been rotating down. So this is the first day of the latest 2-day on the 24-hour chart. And it's sitting right there on our weekly trend line. So we will keep an eye on Bitcoin and just see if it's going to roll back over at this point, if this esse up move is where things are going to end for the time being, or if it's going to keep going. That is where we are, folks. We always love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com is our email address. We appreciate our Patreon members for all their support. They help underwrite the cost of the channel. You want to help do that. You appreciate what we do. Then, of course, we would appreciate your support. First thing you'll get when you sign up at any of the 3 levels is Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. If you're interested in options, we have the trainings for you, and they come with your Patreon membership. Plus, each and every week, you get the weekly vertical crossovers on the S&P 500. I endeavor to find you 20 of those, 10 up and 10 down if we can. And I go through and cull that list myself. Gives you something to practice trade in addition to potentially your 3-wave trades, another exclusive for our Patreon members. That's a list of liquid stocks with liquid options and liquid ETFs with liquid options that give you more stuff to play around with that we curate each and every week for you. And you also get the early release of Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Thank you so much for being with us, my friends. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.